Mike Tyson and Jake Paul's fight is shaping up to be one of the most highly anticipated bouts in quite some time. Plenty of boxing devotees seem to be excited over the prospect of the two athletes coming to blows in the ring. However, there are those who aren't as enthusiastic about it, and they have their reasons for feeling that way. And we're not just talking about fans here, as some notable figures in the competitive fighting game have weighed in with less than stellar thoughts. Now, veteran MMA fighter Michael Page has become the latest person to explain why they're not a fan of this event or ones like it. The 36-year-old mixed martial artist has seen and been in his fair share of fights in his time. With that in mind, USA Today's Sports seriously asked him about the prospect of Mike Tyson taking on Jake Paul this summer. Page admitted that he can understand why a fight like this would be formed by promoters and yet he seems to have reservations when it comes to the age difference between the two combatants and what that could mean for the fight. For me, that fight there is slightly different, because yes, it's a gimmick. I guess it is. Definitely, it's money driven. But I just would never like to see just the potential of it. A Mike Tyson laying on the floor with Jake Paul standing above him. It just would be an ugly picture. You know, he's an older man now. He looks in great shape, and I'm sure he could still cause damage. But just the potential of that happening I just wouldn't want to see just for somebody with that kind of legacy, especially that inspired myself and so many other combat athletes around the world. I just wouldn't want to see that picture. So I think those kinds of fights it's just kind of not necessary. These kinds of fights, I'm not the biggest fan of. So it sounds like the London native doesn't like the potential sight of the 36-year-old YouTuber towering over the veteran fighter, who will be 58 when the fight happens, after throwing jabs. It's definitely true that while Iron Mike is still in shape, he's no spring chicken, and this particular point has been brought up by a few others in recent weeks. English boxer Olajide Olatunji aka KSI thinks it's a lose-lose situation, for two reasons. On the one hand, it wouldn't look good if an older Mike Tyson was to get knocked out in the ring. And, on the other hand, he believes that if 36-year-old Jake Paul does win, he could forever be notorious for being the young man who KO'd Tyson. UFC boss Dana White also isn't thrilled about the event, mostly due to the age difference between the participants. Despite that, White is also well aware why a fight like this would be in high demand. As for the two athletes themselves, both seem to be readying themselves for what's to come. Mike Tyson dropped a training video that seems to indicate that he's putting in work and taking the fight seriously, despite the fact that he's fighting a former YouTuber. Jake Paul has been prepping in his own way and, while doing that, he's also taken some time to troll Tyson, which may or may not be a good idea. It's anyone's guess as to how the fight between the pair will pan out, and I'm certainly curious as to what the end result will be. Ultimately though, what's particularly intriguing is what kind of ripple effects it might have for the two people involved in boxing as a whole. The age concerns from Michael Page and others are still valid, though, and one hopes that neither boxer gets roughed up too seriously.